Get your glasses up. Get your glasses up. A toast to the men. Welcome to A Toast to the Men with your guy, S.D. Booker. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for the support. Before we get started, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button. Let's go. The George Chauvin verdict is in. As you guys may know, you would have to be under a rock or sleep for quite a while not to know this. But he was convicted on all counts. That was a mix of manslaughter and murder, variations between first degree and second degree. So that's a wonderful thing. I made a video around this case or around this act of violence and addressed Chauvin and George Floyd in the same video. And I was pretty balanced about it. I did state that I felt that George Chauvin is guilty, that he should be convicted and found guilty. But as I do, I was objective on my stance. And so I brought out some objectivity about George Floyd and some objectivity about George Chauvin. And you can look up that video. Now, as far as today, being convicted on all counts, I think so far justice was served. Now we still got to go through the appeals process, and we don't know how that's going to turn out. I think for the most part, these convictions are going to hold up. For several reasons. I think they should hold up. But aside from that, I think they have to hold up. Or it's going to be a lot of rioting, turmoil, just a lot of madness. So I think they have to hold up. By the way, I'm in our office / store stuff away room. So yeah, making this video pretty late. Decided to come in here. So you've probably never seen this background or these surroundings. But yeah, we're in the office. This is where my wife works a lot. So yeah. It's so many angles and so many variables and layers to this whole story, this whole narrative. So he was convicted. Now what? Now what, black people? Now what do we do? Where do we go from here? I think we got bigger problems. I know we got bigger problems than police brutality, police assaults, people dying at the hands of the police. We got bigger issues than that in the black community. I just heard or read a day ago that a 7-year-old in Chicago was gunned down in a drive-by shooting. Allegedly, the assailants were going after her dad, and she was in the car in the McDonald's drive-thru with him, and he was injured but survived so far, and she was killed. A young girl in Fort Worth was accidentally shot. This stuff happens all the time. The black on black crime. That's our biggest issue. I'm telling you, man, this police brutality thing or people dying at the hands of police, it's a smokescreen. It's a smokescreen because we don't want to deal with the real issues in our community. We are our worst enemy. We do more harm to ourselves than anyone. That's just what it is, man. And you can say, well, of course you're going to have a high percentage of black on black crime, just like you would have a higher percentage of white on white crime. Because for the most part, we die where we spend most of our time, where we live. So when crimes happen, it's probably going to be at the hands of someone that looks like us, which is a valid point. But I'm talking about the types of crimes, the types of violent crimes, the multiple murders, the drive-by shootings, the parties where 4, 5, 6 people are killed or injured, the gang violence. That's what I'm talking about. And maybe I don't hear these types of stories about other races because I'm not in their community. And maybe the media is just pushing the violence that happens with black people because they want to send a certain message and set a certain tone. That could be possible. But my number one concern, my number one priority is my own community, right? That's where it should be. So we got to deal with our stuff. For the most part, there's tension between the black woman and the black man. Family court is packed with us. I know that for a fact. We make up the majority, man, when it comes to family court in the DFW area. Can't get along with a non-custodial parent, can't get along with the custodial parent, the kids suffer. We're just all messed up. This stuff is happening. The violence is happening because there's a disconnect between the man and the woman, between the parents. And this system, this court system, this judicial system encourages dissent and bitterness and strife between the black man and the black woman. So the kids suffer. These kids, these children grow up into teenagers, young adults, and they're misguided. They're angry, they're misguided, they're lost. Let me tell you where you get your guidance from. We pick up some things from our mom, of course. That's why we have 2 parents, male and female, and they both play an important part in our lives, in our development. But you get your sense of self, your self-awareness, your self-esteem, your high self-esteem, your high self-awareness from your father. And when there's no father around or no male figure around to instill that in you, you're all out of whack. The boys and the girls. And so we got to get that right first. We got to clean up our own house first. Sweep our own porch before we start looking over to our neighbor's porch. We got to take care of home first. So, they can keep pushing this police brutality thing. But if you be honest with yourselves, that's the least of our problems. And the thing is, we're for sale. They know we're for sale. They know we'll take the money over anything. So this is why these families, like George Floyd family and a few other families of men who have died in the custody of police, their families take these settlements, and that's why you don't hear them speaking out, because that's part of the settlement. You take the money, you stop speaking. So they know our voice is for sale. Our scruples are questionable. Our principles, if we have any principles, are questionable and can be sold for the right price. They know this. It's proven. We see it. We see it constantly. So, yeah, man, we gotta decide what's most important, man. What's our culture? What are our principles? What do we stand on? What is our foundation as a culture, as a people? What do we really stand on? We got to get our own stuff right, man. We got to be disciplined. We got to be focused. And that's going to call for the family unit to come together, the community to come together. That's going to be difficult when you got feminists that constantly fight men, contest men, or alpha men. You got other men, you got men that pander to women and don't hold women accountable. So it's an uphill battle. Yeah, it's an uphill battle, and so it makes me lean towards not even being so concerned sometimes with my race, but just my tribe. And what I mean by that is, your tribe is not necessarily your race. Now, it's great if your tribe happens to be your race, but I don't believe your tribe has to be your race. And it could be a mixture of races, a mixture of cultures. And I think your tribe is a group of people who are going the same direction you're going and have the same focus, the same determination, and rooted in the same principles as you are. I believe that's your tribe, and that's not necessarily your race. So, that I go back and forth with that. I want black folks to win, but it's like, man, is that how it's meant to be though? Like, is it supposed to be we group with our race, or we group with our tribe? Meaning people who are going where we're going. And it reminds me of the passage in the Bible where Jesus is off teaching, preaching, and someone comes up to him, and don't quote me verbatim on this, but someone comes to him and says, your mother and brother are looking for you. And he's like, I have no mother and brother. I said, don't quote me on this, but my mother and brother is anyone who's doing the will of God or the will of my Father. So that means he doesn't care for your blood or if you're the same race. If you're not going in his direction, and we ain't family. His tribe is his family. And so we weren't taught that way, even though we grew up on the Bible, right? But people really don't want to deal with that hard, cold reality that you may have to break away from people that share your skin complexion or share your race or share your DNA. And you might have to just group with people who are going in the same direction you're going in. People don't want to deal with that because we have emotional ties. So, people, where do we go from here? You got a guilty verdict. We don't know if it's going to hold up after the appeals, but I think it will. I think it was the right verdict. But like I stated in a video I made a week or two ago, that on a low level, Chauvin is guilty. But on a high level, I think it was poetic justice for both of these guys, because neither one of these guys were living within their purpose, pursuing their purpose. You got George Floyd with the drugs and the crime. You got Chauvin with the ego. He's been reprimanded a few times, reported a few times, been over aggressive violations. So his ego, you can see when he had his knee on George Floyd's neck, his ego was out of the roof. George Floyd with the drugs couldn't simply get into the car, into the vehicle, into the police car. Just out of control, man, both of them. Right before that incident, there's video of George Floyd tweaking inside a store. It looks like he made a drug transaction with a gentleman. And I'm gonna tell you what's crazy, man. My wife and I were looking at the video. She had just walked in the room. It's about a week ago. She had just walked in the room while the video was playing on the television. And when you look at the video, if you just look at George Floyd in the video, he's moving hella fast, right? Now, everything else around him is moving at normal speed, but he's moving very fast. But that's who catches your attention, because he's moving so fast. And she was like, man, what is going on? I was like, man, that's George Floyd. He's tweaking. He's like, what's wrong with the TV? Man, she thought the TV was in fast forward mode. I said, no, he's just tweaking. He's moving that fast at real speed. It's not in fast forward mode. He's moving that fast at real speed. And yeah, man, he's out of control. Chauvin's out of control. So yeah, on a higher level, I think it was poetic justice. Both of these guys hit a wall and needed to be plucked, exposed. I see a lot of craziness being said. Pelosi said, thank you, George Floyd, for sacrificing your life. Man, that's just over the top. He did not sacrifice his life. George Floyd, at the moment on those drugs, being a drug addict, didn't care about anything but himself. That's what drug addicts do. That's how they are. That's how they think. He didn't care about anything, about anyone but himself, and he only cared about getting to the drugs, about getting high. That's it. He did not sacrifice his life. We're not going to make him a martyr, a hero, because that's a lie. And we need to start telling the truth about our people, living our truth. That's a lie. And did he deserve to die? I can't say if he deserved to die or not. Like I said, maybe it was poetic justice. George Floyd did a lot of danger, did a lot of harm to people, and hurt a lot of people. So we need to stop it, man, with the lies and covering up our mess as a community. And we need to stop it. Just tell the truth, and we can get past. We can grow, heal, learn. We can learn from this, and we tell the truth. But making him a hero, a martyr, come on, that's BS. It's BS. I guarantee you, if I polled 100 women, I'm gonna just say 100 black women. If I polled 100 black women, and I said, would you have been willing to marry George Floyd? I guarantee you, man, at least 98% are gonna say no. And you don't have that 2%, that flakiness. They just want to be different, man. But I guarantee at least 98% are gonna say no. If I was to poll 100 black women and ask them, would you have been willing to have a child by George Floyd? I guarantee at least 98% would say no. And like I said, you're going to have that flaky 2%. So stop it. Stop acting like this guy was a hero. He wasn't. I don't take joy in his death, but I'm not sad either. You know, death is natural. Now, we would like to die a certain way, with honor, with dignity, but he died high. He died tweaking. And was Chauvin wrong? Yes. But the fact of the matter is, George Floyd was wrong. George Floyd would be alive if George Floyd wasn't high. That's the bottom line, man. All he had to do was get inside the police vehicle and go to jail. You know, go to jail. You got, I see a lot of fakeness. You know, you got a lot of people saying they loved him. And Steven Jackson, they loved him so much, man. And Steven Jackson calls him his brother, his twin, right? His play brother, so to speak. Why was this man trying to pass a fake $20 bill? Why? And his so-called twin, his so-called brother, is a multimillionaire. You know, it's just amazing. This man had to try to pass off a $20 bill, and now his family, his kids, or his kid's mom, it's worth millions, millions over millions. And this brother didn't add anything positive to society. That's a fact. That's a fact. He took away more than he gave. Now, like I said, his death was poetic justice to expose Chauvin and maybe a corrupt system. But it was also to pluck George Floyd out of here too. And like I said in the previous video, you know, maybe he comes back in a different life and a different body and gets the opportunity to try it again, to right some wrongs. Like I say, I know I got to come back to right some wrongs, but I've given back to the universe more than I took as a young man. Yeah, I've given way more back to the universe than I took. Yeah. So, what do we do now? Where do we go now? Got the verdict. What now? What are we going to do in our own community? So, let's not be distracted. Let's take her home and let's face some hard truths and take care of our business. We got to stick together, brothers. Man up and do what we're created to do, and let's lead. Let's lead like men. Let's be men. All right? Peace.